in our part of the world has socio-economic, political, and legal dimensions. As Islam says that killing of one innocent human is like killing humanity. So terrorists have no religion, caste, creed, or color. And the government of Pakistan is fully committed to eradicate this menace once and for all. And in recent times, the sacrifices given by the citizens of Pakistan, and I often say this, that Pakistan is like a shield or a wall between terrorists and the rest of the world. So when one Pakistani citizen lays down his life, it is not only to make Pakistan secure, but to make the world a safer place. In recent times, especially with regard to mass communication, we have seen that the narrative has gone beyond disinformation now. And we see propagation of extremist ideologies on social media. So it's not only about disinformation anymore, and this is where the Institute of Regional Studies can really help us. Terrorists are actually now taking to the social media to make use of social media for propagation of their ideology. So taking the cue from today's esteemed gathering, I would also like to announce a new initiative called Paigam-e-Aman, because now the need of the hour is for a message of peace, because peaceful coexistence is the only way forward, and peaceful coexistence can not only resolve our economic problems, but can take our people on the path of prosperity and make their lives and livelihoods better. And peaceful coexistence can only be achieved when we have well-researched data available, when we have empirical evidence available through which we can counter terrorism and violent extremism. And you recently saw a very sad incident in Balochistan. Now that is a typical example of what you call violent extremism. The imposition of one's ideology by the use of force on individuals. The Constitution of Pakistan guarantees the right to freedom, the right to freedom of movement, the right to life. All fundamental rights are guaranteed in the Constitution, but when incidents like these happen, we are compelled to question that can any civilized society allow certain individuals to use force to impose their ideology, which is very unfortunate. And this is exactly what needs to be countered, because terrorism is one aspect, but violent extremism on the other hand, as recently the whole nation, the whole world witnessed in Balochistan, this is something which can be countered through awareness, through well-researched papers, where we can actually communicate to the masses as to how this menace can be countered. I'm standing here before you as an elected member of the National Assembly, and I represent 70,000 Christian voters from Lahore. And had it not been for their unwavering commitment and their support, I wouldn't be standing here before you. And with regard to minorities, with regard to marginalized groups of society, it is our job to ensure peaceful coexistence. Because in today's day and age, intolerance breeds very quickly. And tolerance, unfortunately, is not the order of the day. So when we talk about countering terrorism, when we talk about violent extremism, we have to make our people aware with regard to the confidence building measures of peaceful coexistence and tolerance. Because without peaceful coexistence, without tolerance, no society can flourish, no country can prosper, no economy can become a thriving economy in the economies of the world. And when I talk about propagation of extremist agendas, it's surprising that social media platforms, which are globally recognized social media platforms, would allow terrorist organizations to formulate their channels for propagation of their extremist ideologies. And we will shed some light over this today in detail later in the day in a press conference as well. But the matter has now gone beyond disinformation. And for terrorist organizations to have access to social media platforms in order to spread hatred, in order to incite violence, in order to divide the society, to polarize the society, because as the use of social media is growing, so is the space for terrorists to propagate their agendas on social media. This is where the role of the government comes in as a policy maker. And when it comes to terrorists, you will see that due to a lack of proper legal infrastructure, legal frameworks, unfortunately the conviction rates are often very low. So the need of the hour is where you can really facilitate us is specific laws with regard to terrorism and violent extremism, where we can actually create a deterrence through not only making it difficult or impossible for terrorists to operate on social media, but also with regard to the conviction rates. There is a debate going on regarding faceless courts, for example, and that debate is now entering its final stages the world over, where there have been cases in which the threat has been very grave. The legal system has moved on to faceless courts, and there is data available with regard to the efficacy of these faceless courts. So I think what is required is an overall revamp of the legal system, where terrorists and those indulging in violent extremism are not treated as ordinary criminals, because special laws and special vehicles are created for special circumstances. And if not now, then when? Because when it comes to violent extremism, gender-based violence is also another issue, which I think in our society is not highlighted as much as it should be. The recent incident in Balochistan is one example, and I think it is a rude awakening which has really jolted us and given us a new perspective that we really need to work on our legal framework. So recommendations from your esteemed institute would be more than welcome regarding amendments in legislation, regarding awareness campaigns, and I assure you that the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting would be at your beck and call regarding mass awareness campaigns. And in this recent year and a half, being the Minister for Information, we've seen a process of evolution. We've seen a war, we've seen allegations of terrorism being leveled, but I think all praises to the Prime Minister that even during the time of crisis, when he offered an investigation into the Pahalgam incident and said that Pakistan is ready for a fair and impartial investigation, it really proved to the world that Pakistan has clean hands in this. How can a nation which is the biggest victim of terrorism get involved in terrorism? It just can't happen. So with regard to awareness campaigns, I was talking about the process of evolution that we've gone through. It has really taught me that awareness campaigns cannot be one size fits all. We need to have specifically designed communication or awareness campaigns for specific audiences. There's an international audience, and alhamdulillah, during this war, the international audience, the international media, we were there putting forth our narrative, and because our narrative was based on the truth, we were able to establish our narrative the world over. And then there's a local audience, and then there are regional areas. So when we talk about awareness regarding terrorism, countering terrorism and violent extremism, we need to have specific campaigns, and especially for the areas where regional languages are spoken. Maybe launch a multilingual campaign and make the masses aware that this is not Islam. Absolutely not. The terrorists often find refuge, and let me make it very clear, the sympathizers of terrorists are worse than the terrorists, because they are the people who live in our society and propagate these ideologies. So there needs to be a clear distinction that sympathizing or propagating violent extremism, terrorism is a big no, and this is not Islam. And that is where the role comes in, and the meta narrative of Paigham-e Aman. Because the word Islam actually means peace. And we really need to show that the practical manifestation of Islam and Muslims is peace. So I think now is the time to take forward such initiatives, and recently we were fortunate enough to form a counter-violent extremism cell in our press information department as well. So I also look forward to a collaboration. Maybe we can have an MOU with your center and our counter-violent extremism cell, which has been going on for the past 1 year or so. Jointly, we can take this campaign forward to clear the misconceptions and the wrong information that is given out about Pakistan at the international level for the global audience, because a country which has laid down more than 80,000 lives in the war against terrorism, no other country can claim that. And people from all walks of life, the military, the police, the rangers, law enforcement agencies, civilians, innocent children, women, senior citizens. So I think we have a very touching story to tell. We have a long tail of sacrifices. And these sacrifices shall not and will not go in vain, inshallah ta'ala. Because we've paid a very heavy price. Economically, it runs into hundreds of billions of dollars. So I think time has come to tell the world what we are about and how we want peaceful coexistence, harmony, tolerance, and that's what defines us. Not the few people who propagate intolerance, hatred, and violence. They're not amongst us, they're not from us. And we can do that through these collaborations. So I would like to propose, because I believe in practicality and taking things forward. So number one, I would like to propose a collaboration with our counter-violent extremism cell. And it can be a channel for the government to receive your research, to receive data from your end, so so that policy making and legislation can be facilitated. And I would encourage you to hold more such gatherings where we can have a dialogue regarding countering terrorism and violent extremism. And it's time to call these terrorists out, especially with regard to the use of social media. Just 3 days before, I came across a channel of TTP, which is being run, so we actually got it reported. But social media cannot be allowed to be used by terrorists. Not at all. Because see, disinformation, misinformation is one thing, but propagation of ideology, imposition of ideology is another. And the initiative, secondly, the initiative of Paygam-e-Aman is something that can be owned not only by your institute, but I think the society at large. The message of peace, and that we will not tolerate anybody who incites violence or hatred or extremism. So we are fully committed to this cause, and we look forward to collaboration with you to highlight these issues, to bring about a change, to bring about reform. And as already numerous sacrifices have been given, Pakistan military is combating terrorists, and law enforcement agencies are combating terrorists, and you mentioned the National Intelligence Fusion Center, Threat Assessment Center, if that get all our law agents on one platform, so and actions can have more cohesion and synergy. So I think the right steps are being taken, the national action plan, the committee has formed different to safe, secure, and free from this terrorist. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Pakistan Zindabad.